Morning everyone, how's everyone today? All good? I wanted to start in a different way. This is something I didn't want to have to do, but I wanted to show appreciation for Nora Wang, who sadly passed away on Sunday. She was a fantastic person. She helped to set up the National Autistic Society. She coined the phrase Asperger syndrome in 1981, and I think we owe her a gratitude more than we can ever repay. So the best thing you can ever do for her is to carry on her memory. If you're helping out of autism, things like that, do it, because I think she would really appreciate it. Okay. Right, this is me as a baby. Yeah, I'm not as cute as that now though. I was born with water in my lungs, and I was dead for a couple of minutes when I was born, so right there, that's an actual adventure, I had water in my lungs for a couple of minutes, and it was difficult breathing and things like that, and it was really quite difficult. My first memories of being alive, kind of a cartoon. I know that seems a bit odd, but that's the kind of things that I remember. It's a Flintstones cartoon. It's kind of like an episode where Barney disappeared, and so those are the first things. I don't remember any kind of people or anything like that. For a young age, I felt different. I didn't know why. I didn't understand all the social cues and things like body language. I didn't learn them. My college years, I went to Guildford College. In retrospect, if I'd been diagnosed earlier, things would have turned out differently. I found college a struggle and a challenge. I got expelled in '96. I went to college again in Aldershot, but again I got expelled in September. My first the job I have, I work at Watchmore Park. After my mum found an advert, but the way you do, you find an advert in a paper, and you just, you take it. And I've been there for many years, 18 years, and I have to say all the people there were very, very good to me, and I've worked there for 18 years, and people are very good with autism and all that sort of thing. I worked there on Wednesdays and Fridays to start with, and then in recent years I've been more involved with the NS. I've been doing Saturdays and Sundays, so that's a good job. My diagnosis, well, I was about my diagnosis, I was 18 years old when I was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome. Hans Asperger, for all you clever people out there who are not going to know that, some of you won't, some of you will. And for the first 10 years I was ashamed. I didn't want to accept it. I mean, it's quite a scary thing to be given a label. I agree that you should have a label, but I found it quite scary to be diagnosed and to have autism. And I didn't want to accept it, but my mum's the hero. She made me go to the doctor. She forced me to go and said, look, Daniel, you've had some troubles, but you've got to go and see the doctor. And we argued about it for a couple of weeks, and she made me do it, and that's something I'm appreciated for. Yes, I went to see my GP. I got into trouble. I got into trouble with things, and I got infatuated with a girl and things like that. And I wasn't really, and the police got involved. Because I got fixated on a girl I met somewhere, and then at this point my mum, she made me go to the doctor. And then after that I went to see a counsellor, and this is where the story gets interesting, because the counsellor was the person, she met somebody else who was involved with the NAS. It's a months-long thing. They met in a corridor somewhere, and that took me to a social skills group. We talked for a couple of weeks, and that the counsellor really helped me to understand things. And then I heard about Aspire from the counsellor, and there was somebody called Joe, who she spoke to at the hospital about me, and Joe gave her the information, the things she needed about the group. This skills group, for people with Asperger syndrome, called Aspire. Some of you might know it, some of you won't, but it's a really useful model, and I know that there are other things like this out there for people with autism, and to help them. It took me a few days to decide whether I wanted to go or not, because I wasn't really sure. when you're on a tipping point and you're not sure. So there's an alternate universe where I'm still a bum out there somewhere. But no, that was I'd mark that as the key decision, deciding I've got to do it. If I don't do it, I'd spend the rest of my life in the squalor really. So yeah, I decided to go, and I walked through the door. And this was the big bang moment for me when I did this, because it revolutionised my life. I mean, I was just kind of blown away by kind of the people I met there, and the fact that I'd never really kind of spoken to any other people on the spectrum before. So to meet people on the spectrum is a very liberating experience. This lady here saved my life. I really cannot say highly enough of this person. She is absolutely the most wonderful person. The first person I met when I walked through that door, and everyone needs somebody like that. Everyone needs somebody to help educate them and to help to, to be there for her. And she opened my mind up to autism. She was the person that helped me to accept it. And to her, I'm more grateful than anyone else I've ever met. So I started to slowly change. I started to come to terms with my Asperger syndrome. This is mainly by the fact that I kind of was around other people with the condition. I'd never been around other people with the condition before, and for me to do that, it was something else. It was like, well, because I've had similar experiences and things like that. And then my life slowly I got more active and previously been, I've been bored and interested in stuff, and I didn't want to get involved. And slowly I went to a day service Horizons for 2 days a week, a Friday and a Monday, so I picked up some cooking skills and some IT skills. And and assist, which is a really important one as well, that kind of helped me to get on the track of volunteering and doing what I want to do, because I started going to assist at some a specialist counselling service for people with autism, so that people with autism can, rather than just a normal counsellor, the people you see there are people, kind of specialist people who do things like this. And that's how I kind of got interested in kind of voluntary work. My Big Bang 2 was in kind of 2009. This was a big moment where I went, helped me to volunteer. Tom Madders, the campaigns manager at the National Autistic Society. I met him in the church, and it was kind of like another moment, because at the time he was just an officer, but later on he became the campaigns manager. And I again, this is another person I can't speak highly enough, and he'll be speaking here over the road and later on this afternoon, so if you would mind going to see him as well. And then that kind of got my veins started, and I probably started to go volunteering. I volunteered at a NAF youth club for a while. It wasn't really the kind of thing I was looking to do. I spoke to MPs. A big part of it was Pitch for Action. Anyone remember that from last year? I was a part of that. I met MPs and I did all this kind of visiting around, but that's the moment I credit for that bit. The social skills, it helped me with my social skills and all that sort of thing, but this was the moment when I kind of volunteering. So it's kind of two different boxes, two kind of different people merged at the same time. I was on a training DVD, which I found a couple of weeks ago, and that was a bit strange. I got to a Wednesday group as well. My friend Natalie, who sat there, she's a bit shy about these things, and that helped me because I've been going there for about 4 years now. This group's about 4 years old, and it's had a rocky path, but actually it's another kind of aspire kind of thing. It keeps me going when I can visit my own. It's in my hometown, and so that's a really enjoyable thing to do. And 2011 is when I met Tom, but things were a bit slow, and that's when I started to volunteer. I started to do things, and that paved the way for me to apply for something great that year, which was I volunteered at head office, and more. I gave Quality Care Commission, which is why I met Mark Lever, and then he has an amazing memory, this man, because he remembers when I met him. I met him like a year afterwards, and that was just. And the fact that he remembered, the CEO of NAS, the fact that he remembered that's something kind of stuck in my mind a lot, And then I became an ambassador. Whoa, I don't like this picture, but it was bit by my friend, so, This is a photo shoot I did, which was just kind of like miscellaneous photo shoot. They had a miscellaneous just thing. So my face is on the website all the time, and I find that very strange. It's a very strange thing to be on a website. Where I am today, well, I've aged. With age comes wisdom. I understand myself a bit more. I feel happy in myself. I'm more confident around other people, better at understanding social cues and body language and facial expressions and things like that. I can use the underground by myself. A key thing about this is, for the first year I was volunteering and going to head office and things like that, I couldn't use the underground by myself. I couldn't do it, but as I've learned and I've gone on doing it, so after a year, I love the underground now. I never used to love it, but I just love sitting on underground trains, things like that. And that just shows, you know, the slow learning it they've given me, and they kind of help with travelling, not just kind of like doing events and things like that, but travelling and getting around. This is my first speech I gave in 2012, the 50th anniversary year, which I was privileged to be a part of, and this was 150 people. So if you can imagine that sort of thing, I gave one to 300 people last year or something like that, but this was a bit of a even more nervous because Jane Asher spoke before me, so you know, if you had that and then Jane Asher speaking before you, but again, it was the people that surrounded me and I was able to do it like that, and that's quite a powerful thing, I think. This is Covent Garden. A couple of years ago they had a thing at Covent Garden where they advent calendar, like our advent calendar, and we had buckets and we were kind of raising money because it's always important to give money. You know, it's always important because if you don't have the genuine revenue stream, then you're not going to get anywhere. Speakers, this is, yes, when they launched Push for Action, that was quite a chaotic day because we had MPs coming in and coming out, because it was in the House of Commons itself or the room next door sort of thing. And that was a hectic day, but I used all my coping strategies that I'd kind of had before to be able to kind of get through it. Onesie Wednesday, who knows about this? This became a phenomenon this came out of the brain of one person, Jack Lyons, in the fundraising office, and he made people dress up in onesies, basically. They had it last year, but this year it was a phenomenon, and I just want to thank every person that kind of put a onesie on that day and volunteer, because you helped raise upwards of £75,000. So, you know, be proud, just be proud that you took part in that. And my award, I don't talk about this much, but this emphasises how far I've come from the beginning bit, when I wasn't doing anything and I was shy and all that sort of thing, to now where I've won an award sort of thing for the self-esteem. But it's not just my award, it's your award, all of you, all the people that volunteer, all the people I've worked with, who I've been with over the years. This is yours as well as mine. Share it, take your credit for this, because I certainly wouldn't have won it without you lot. This is it now. I've got a bit written down for this. I'm only managed to be the person you see before you today due to the many people I've known over at the National Autistic Society. The only way to get help the only way for me to be here today was the fact that I'm here because of these wonderful people and all the fantastically wonderful people who work for this organisation. They do so much every day for people with autism, and all of you who just volunteer or just a member, be privileged that you have people like this to be there and to help you, because you couldn't wish for a better group of people than this to help you out. I'd just like to thank you for coming today.
Thank you everyone for listening.
I would thank my friend Natalie, who helped me with the PowerPoint pictures. Fantastic. Natalie, stand up. You were really good.
Thank you everyone for coming to listen to Daniel speak today.